What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Discraft's 2022 Big Rep Classic. This is the round 2 back 9 coverage. I'm Kyle, joined by JC. On our card, we've got Kenny Brister at 7 down, Logan Weiss at even. I'm going to mess that up a few times. Jonathan Fletcher at 6 down, and Josh Hollingsworth at 6 down as well. Josh is going to be leading us off on hole 10. It's a downhill 260-foot island hole. He will be dealing with some wind coming off of the lake, but once he gets over the dam, it shouldn't affect his disc too much.
Yeah, Josh is throwing a justice here, most likely. The wind is actually carrying it over the island into the OB, so he'll be going to the drop zone, which is on top of the hill.
Yeah, but it's not a forgiving drop zone. It's a super steep. It's probably 100 feet. But it's so far downhill, it's going to be tough to control that speed.
Yeah, he'll most likely be taking a bogey. Jonathan opting for the backhand, trying to fight into the wind.
This looks like a good line.
I'd say it looks like he gave enough power. It even scares the basket a little bit there. So next we got a semi-local guy in Kenny Brister.
Rocking the Mississippi tropical shirt.
Yep, got that beachfront right there. Kenny pushing it a little wide. Hopefully it's an overstable disc. It looks to be coming back into the island. A little deep. Unsure if that stayed in or not, but I guess we'll see when we get down there.
And our last player on the tee, Mr. Logan
Weiss.
Thank you. I was pausing for that.
Logan plays a great shot. You don't have to do too much. Once you get over the hill or down below the hill, the wind stops really affecting the disc.
And here's that drop zone attempt.
Josh giving it a decent bid for being up there, and evidently Kenny did find the out of bounds, so he'll be attempting to cash this in from way up top. A little wide, playing it right. Almost, that's a pretty good bid from up there.
Yeah, impressively jumping down the hill, which I've never been brave enough to do from the drop zone.
Logan had a few putting woes on the front 9. If you didn't catch that, not for his sake, go watch it, but go check out the front 9. Able to connect on that putt right there and get back on track.
Josh not happy with himself. That's going to be a double on this short island hole.
Oh, okay. I thought that was teeter-tottering on the rim, but just frozen in the chains upside down. And then the rest of the card, tapping in, going to hustle back up that hill. That'll move us into hole 11, par 4, 640 feet. You're teeing off on top of the dam again. You have OB right to contend with. Most players will probably just rip a disc that will never turn over, play it in this hillside, and hopefully roll down. Some players may elect to lay up short to the right and throw across the OB on their second shot. Jonathan does that pretty well. I think he wanted it to roll down the hill more, so he had better footing.
Yeah, that's the biggest obstacle on this hole, is that footing on the hillside.
Hopefully that disc is pretty overstable. Logan put it shaping right and played it perfectly into that bottom narrow section of the fairway.
Yeah, that's a lot of trust in your disc.
Right, we have a ripping left to right now, so exposing the bottom of the disc could push that towards the out of bounds. Kenny looks to be laying up a little short, flirting with the OB, but good placement there.
Yeah, he'll have ideal footing at the very least for his second shot.
Yeah, and playing that second shot, you get to play into a hillside, so it's not too. You don't have to worry about the power control. Just rip it, and hopefully you won't skip too far up the hill. Josh going with the unconventional route there, just throwing a tomahawk down to the bottom. You don't see many players doing that, but that's one of the main focuses of Josh's game.
Here's Kenny trying to do what you were explaining, blasted it in that hillside. And he's a little short, but he should have a pretty decent look at his birdie.
Yeah, he's in the circle. I imagine Kenny will hit that. Josh putting a great move around that tree. That's one of the main things with the forehand on the second shot. And executes it really well. Jonathan looking to follow him up maybe, or still deciding. I typically just take an overstable disc and stand still it. That way if I do put a little too much anhyzer, it'll come out.
Now, is that something that the hill naturally does to your throw? When you're at an incline like that, does it make your body want to put anhyzer on the disc?
Well, actually the opposite with this shape right here. It makes you want to throw more of a hyzer because your body's leaning that way. That's why throwing a backhand there would probably make you pull it over into the out of bounds. But Jonathan executes that forehand well. The main thing you want to focus on there is probably just aiming wide enough to compensate for that exaggerated hyzer. Logan with the long drive, putting it up to pin high. Only had a putter up shot. That was a pretty good rip from him.
Jonathan looks to be just outside the circle.
Yeah, in the front nine, he was canning some putts from everywhere.
And the commentator curse kicks again.
Jinxed him from the future. Yeah, that one, he was probably really focused on not missing so much because of the downhill that he missed. Logan has kind of moved to a stabbier putt. Maybe that might be due to the wind. He's really focused on spinning it hard.
Is that something having a lot of misses can do to your putt? It makes you slightly change things to try and fix what's going on, or do you think it was just because of the wind?
I mean, sometimes you get in a situation. I mean, we saw Cameron in the first round coverage where you're trying to dial it in and nothing's working. And I mean, I don't see it being too much of an issue to try to change it if it wasn't working to begin with. But could be the wind, could be putting woes. And that was some good sportsmanship from Jonathan there, fixing the chains for Josh. This would be for Josh's birdie. Another putt high.
And fortunate to stop on the pine tree. That could have rolled quite a bit farther.
Yeah. There we go. Good confident comeback. He definitely wanted the birdie there, though, as did Logan. But
yeah, Logan would have had a great drive and a pretty good upshot. And I'm sure he's very disappointed not to be able to convert. Here we have hole 12, par 3, 360 feet. It's slightly downhill. We're going to see a lot of guys throw a straight backhand down the right side gap. There is a slope down at the basket, and it's sloping away, so it can get pretty fast down there. We'll see what these guys can come up with.
Kenny a little high on the release. Sneaks over that limb, but it finishes out a little to the left. He'll probably just be laying up for par from up there. Got Jonathan here. Looks like he's throwing a fairway.
Similar route, trying to get some body English for some flip.
Skips off the top of the culvert. I believe in round 1 he hit that as well and pushed like 100 foot deep. Let's hope he didn't get the same result there.
Pretty good accuracy if he's aiming for that thing. I mean, that is an aiming point on this hole, so.
Yeah, typically you hope to hit and just sit, but he's hit and accelerated. Logan here looking to line up a fairway as well. Following Kenny over there to the left. Just a little bit of an early release. And then Josh, not really known for his backhand, is going to throw a flex forehand route with something, probably a Firebird. Just a little too much turn on it. Kicks off to the left. Most of these guys will probably be just laying it for par. And as you can see here, that green is super fast. You have a really steep downslope. Josh, unfortunately, catching that sewer top. You really want to slide past it. You don't really want that putt for par.
That looked to be a layup all the way from Kenny.
Yeah, there's no reason to risk this. I mean, you have OB somehow if it ends up in the road. Logan probably looking to bounce back. I think he's currently 2 up right now for the round, and probably looking to run this. Does a good job though. Just unfortunately doesn't connect. Yeah, as you can see here, this is still like a 25-foot putt.
It looked like a layup. No, I mean, I don't know if it was or wasn't, but it looked like a very committed layup to me.
That was, that's Josh's miss typically, especially on a downhill basket.
That looked to be Logan. That probably was the only thing he had was the turbo putt. Pretty good effort. Wasn't able to convert.
Evidently, Jonathan had a better result this time. He's still yet to putt for his birdie. Oh, yeah.
Really good result. Especially compared to the last round. If you didn't go catch that in the first round, please go back and do so.
Yeah, he was back by that cattle gate through the trees that you can barely see. A little high on the straddle, but it connects. That's a really nice 2 to grab.
Logan quickly tapping in his bogey.
And Kenny cleaning up his par.
Oh, here we are on hole 13. It's a par 4. It's a shorter par 4 at 566 feet. There's OB lining the right side of the fairway, and there's also an OB road on the left side. Between you and the basket is a little black creek that is out of bounds as well. You'll see a lot of guys doing this play right here, an overstable forehand that'll swing back into the fairway. Not a lot of guys are asking for a lot here. They just want to advance up the fairway, stay in bounds, and have an opportunity to throw into the green on your second shot.
Yeah, so Kenny opting for the backhand here. Really the only mistake you can make here is trying too hard. As you said, you just want to place it down there, maybe about 300, 350 feet. This grass is real grabby, so skips aren't really a concern.
And that was well done from Kenny there. That's just how you draw it up.
Then we have Logan coming up trying to follow suit. Not really much of a forehand player, so yeah, definitely go on the backhand for him. Putting a little move on this. A little too high, maybe? Nope, catches, checks up.
Yeah, good overstable finish, spiking into the ground. I'd imagine we'll see Josh with another power forehand.
No, this will be a tomahawk here. Anytime he's got to go dead straight, there's no funny business there. It's just throw it right down the middle. 300 feet is like playing catch in the backyard for him. So, as you can see, he passed up everybody's drive, and it didn't look like he gave any effort at all.
No, that was very nonchalant. But it works well, obviously.
He'll probably pick that same disc up and throw it towards the island. Logan putting a good move onto the island. Probably puts it within 15 feet. Hopefully that'll be a more comfortable spot for him on the putting green.
Yeah, this is one of the only holes out in the open that shouldn't have too much wind. You can see the banners on the upper right side of the screen. That's the wind coming off of the lake. But this is a little bit of a protected area because they're down in a little bit of a valley.
Yeah, it's still in your head though. You get up there and you think there's wind and it may not affect the disc as much as you expect. Kenny playing it perfectly though. Puts it under the basket in the bullseye. That'll be a tap in 3. Jonathan says, I know there's wind out there. Where's it at?
Jonathan looks to be throwing a little bit slower of a disc than our last 2 players.
Cooks it a little long. Maybe he needed to disc down more. Sometimes being over by those reeds, it can be a little deceiving trying to get to the island, where playing it out to the left, maybe a better play, opens it up a little more. Josh dialing in the distance and picks up that Firebird just to throw it again.
And perfect.
If you gave Josh 18 of these holes, he would probably shoot 18 down.
Yeah, he definitely made this hole look very easy. Just a bit low from Jonathan at the circle's edge.
Yeah, with the rest of the guys within 10 feet, he wanted that to keep up with them. Even though he's leading the card, Kenny will now time. Close enough for Logan. Still looks a little shaky on the putt.
And routine birdies for Kenny, and Josh should be easily tapping his in as well.
And that'll move us on. We have hole 14 here, par 3, 346 feet. You've got OB left, OB deep, and that line may wrap around to the right, but it doesn't really come into play with these cypress trees to the right. Most players are probably going to take a backhand and just throw it dead straight. You'll probably see a tomahawk from Josh, maybe a forehand. And it's worth noting that ditch has a 6-foot plus hole filled with water. So if you throw a disc in that one particular spot, you'll lose it forever. I think Kenny was glad he landed a little short of it, although he overcooked the disc.
Yep. He's really trying to play away from that OB road, just overcommitted. And this is a pretty good line from Logan, but it's also burning over on him. He seems a little confused. There may be a bit of a crosswind out there, diving the nose angle down once it gets past the trees.
Yeah, a lot of these guys will probably not want to try to push it towards the OB road. It's just a little far for most guys for a forehand. If the ceiling wasn't open, I think Josh would probably elect for that. But I mean, when you can do this, why would you do anything else?
Yeah, a little out of range for most guys forehand, and easy, nonchalant tomahawk for Josh Hollingsworth, parked.
Jonathan looking to bounce back from that being the lone par, and does so well. Puts it within 15 feet.
Yeah, that was a really good shot. He really trusted that over the OB for a lot of the flight.
Kenny just a little timid, but they got it pin high. It's not too bad. And this right here with the basket being on a mound, it's not very high, but it can definitely make you have a 30-foot comeback. See Logan lobbing it up, trying not to push too far past the basket, but never really gave it a chance. Kenny here trying to clean up his par.
Yeah, and that's a good putt. You can't see it from here, but there's wind coming off the lake, so that would have been a headwind putt going uphill, one of the more difficult putts you can have. He does it well.
That's a good two for Jonathan to get there. The backhand play is definitely one of the tougher plays, but probably one of the safer ones for a lot of these competitors. Logan cleaning up his par, and Josh trying not to hit his head on the basket with a easy 350-foot tomahawk play.
That brings us into hole 15, an uphill par 3 that's 370 feet. It probably plays closer to 400 as it is significantly uphill. You have OB on your left and right, and deep this year as well. You'll see most guys swinging a big hyzer over the road.
No, it's clearly a tomahawk play.
And there's no doubt about that. He's into circle putting again.
Yeah, just a little short, but that's probably going to be his highest percentage shot there. He probably has the power to get there, but putting any more on that, it's not really worth it for him. Jonathan playing with a more traditional line, big hyzer. Oh, just a little short, and he catches that pine tree. It's really the only tree you have to miss with that shot.
Yeah, but it's a common result because it is so far. When you're swinging it out that wide, I'm sure a lot of people hit that obstacle. You do have to put it very wide over the road with the wind coming off the lake.
Yeah, any anhyzer on this, and you'll probably find the disc fighting against itself going into the OB right. Kenny following Jonathan a little earlier, doesn't hit the tree. He should have an outside the circle look. Yeah, one of the difficulties with some of these holes is you do have traffic going, through the course. This is a campground, so we try to be respectful and share the facilities with everybody.
But it is a good point. If you're you're focused and getting ready to let loose on your tee shot, and then you have to pause, I'm sure that can mess with the mind of some of our competitors.
Yeah, a lot of the campers are pretty respectful as well. They understand this is a big event. Jonathan trying to flex it around that tree. Tough putt, low ceiling. on an Anheuser, it's going to be hard to cash that one 90% of the time.
Logan just outside and steps that one in with confidence. That was a really good putt.
I think that was Kenny.
Yes, it was. Kenny with a great putt.
How could you forget the shirt, man?
Great point.
These are some of Josh's more confident putts, being uphill. Just a little too much hyzer on that. Didn't quite open the hand all the way, but he'll have an easy par.
And here we see Logan much closer than Kenny was.
Hoping to get the same result. Hey, it's in.
Yep. As you said on the last round, there's no pictures on the scorecard, just video.
And Jonathan almost finding the OB. Fortunate enough to stay in, but that would be a little heartbreaking to catch that out of bounds, trying to run a putt that is not a typically high play. You can see him taking his time here. We're moving towards the end of the second round, moving day, if you will, and try not to make any mistakes going into the last day or right before the last day. So Jonathan's been playing really well and wants to continue that into tomorrow.
And that wraps up hole 15, bringing us into hole 16. Another uphill par 3. This one much shorter at 279 feet. The basket is blind from the tee. Most guys are going to see a backhand hyzer, something pretty stable, swinging around the corner and trying not to go early, as the rough can really pinch you off.
Kenny looks like he does that pretty well. It might have skipped a little on the left side of the opening, but he should have a putt. He should be looking at the basket. Logan's putting a pretty good move on this. Doesn't quite get the ground play for the ace run, but he's in the opening right there.
Yep, just snuck around the corner. And I'm assuming this will be a little bit lower of a tomahawk, maybe trying to skip it around the corner.
Yeah, trying to hit it off the flight plate. I'm actually surprised to see this from Josh. It's a tough play, but maybe he's just not feeling his backhand. He hasn't thrown one since hole 8 in the front 9, so.
This looks to be on a really good line.
Yeah, putting a good move on that distortion right there. And I'd say, yeah, it was a really good line. Great line.
Now here's the backhand, as Josh is much more cut off than he was from the tee.
Yeah, and that looked fine. Josh, trust your backhand a little more, man. It's okay. Kenny did get pinched off a little bit. Didn't quite get around the corner.
Not in the worst position, though, as he catches metal on his birdie look.
Yeah, that's tough right there. 55, probably foot hyzer. Josh catching a lot of chains, a little left side. Surprised that it didn't stick, but he'll unfortunately be carding a bogey on this short, relatively easy par 3.
Logan trying to center himself before he attempts his birdie look.
Yeah, you can really tell that the putting woes are in his head right now. But that one looked clean. That was a good, confident stroke right in the middle of the chains.
One of the better putts we've seen from him this round.
And the rest of the guys will be looking to clean this up. Jonathan is birdie, Kenny par, and Josh bogey.
And that brings us into hole 17. Hole 17 is another par 3. This time it's downhill at 340 feet. It's pretty much a tunnel shot. You're going to see a lot of forehands. You want to just throw your disc straight and tail to the right at the end where you put yourself into position for birdie.
Yeah, you have a, like you said, you had a tunnel shot, the low ceiling downhill. It's a tough play. We see Logan's first forehand of the round, and it's a good one. I mean,
yeah, maybe he should trust his forehand. That was a really good effort.
You'll see a lot of players here end up making the mistake of throwing it too low. Jonathan just a little nose up on his forehand, gets around the pine trees on the right, and that actually will give him a look. He didn't like it out of his hand.
No, and there is OB if you do go far enough right of the basket. I don't think Jonathan went that far, but we'll see shortly.
And Kenny here, I don't believe we've seen him throw a forehand this round either, so kind of speaks to the hole. The backhand, really not much of a play just because of the ceiling. And that's more of my shape on the shot, where you throw something really overstable, and by the time it finishes out, it gets down the hill. It's a good play from Kenny there, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that was a really good forehand. That puts him in position for a birdie putt. And you expect this to be the closest of the group as our forehand specialist.
Yeah.
Really good overstable finish, and he's putting.
Got 4 guys on the dance floor. Jonathan not getting razzed by the card mate in the background. I think he was looking for a disc back there.
Yeah. Looks like he did find that disc as he comes up to try and make his birdie.
Logan's eyeing the wind here, taking his time. Really focusing on trying to get the disc in the basket. Really focusing.
And he converts.
Turning around the putting towards the end of the round. That's good. He'll need that for round 3. Josh looking to follow suit. And does so well.
Yep, and here's Kenny, last to putt. Let's see if he can convert and I believe get our first star frame.
Yeah. Only take 17 holes, hopefully. Easy enough. Kenny's a good putter. I didn't have any doubt he was going to miss that. or make that.
No, but you got to build a little tension sometimes. Here we have hole 18, our finishing hole. It's a par 4, 600 feet. You have OB road on the left side and OB rough on the right side. You're going to see a lot of guys throw over the rough with something. If you're throwing a backhand, you're going to throw something that's turning its whole flight, not flexing out into that road. I would imagine Josh would be throwing a tomahawk over the top, maybe.
Yeah, that would be. This is going to play a lot like hole 13 for him. Logan, a little overturned, looking for the spotter to give him a green flag, and still seems a little confused. Maybe he thought he was in and didn't get the green flag. We'll have to see. Jonathan opting for the forehand here. Wanted probably a little more flex on that, but it looks like it's dying enough to stay in, and it does so. Fortunate enough not to skip. It is worth to note that if a player does throw out of bounds, they have the option of going to a drop zone that plays from the road, probably about 380 feet. So if they end up in the shul early, they can go to that drop zone instead. Hopefully none of these players have to experience that.
And as you said, Kenny not getting the full turn out of his drive, and it flexes out over into the out of bounds road. We'll see if we see that drop zone play here shortly.
Kenny advanced up the fairway. He can actually take it point of exit, so I imagine he'll probably take it from where he went out. And Josh surprising both of us with a forehand play. Want it to hurry.
And it does in the nick of time.
Man, that one, that'll make your heart jump.
Yeah, but Kenny does take it where it went out of bounds. It looked like it was significantly farther up the fairway than the drop zone was. It is pretty skinny down by the basket. The fairway narrows the closer it gets to the basket.
And one thing to note, that this slope going up to the road can really mess with people's footing as they're going to throw, but Kenny shows it's no problem for him. He'll have a tap in par. And two guys trying to range, dial in their shots.
It looks like Logan did go out of bounds. His drive was a little bit inside.
And his upshot was a little outside. So double OB for Logan on hole 18. Today just wasn't his day, it seems. Jonathan somewhat overcorrecting from Logan's play, but again, gets a good little checkup. Can't tell if that stayed in or not. Very similar to yesterday's shot. Josh getting his relief from the out of bounds, even though he was in bounds.
Throwing a lawn dart again.
And needs that to sit. Okay, it sits down. You see that OB is pretty close. It's within 35, 38 feet of the basket, so. Got Logan here looking to just lay up for a double bogey. Or, yeah, double bogey.
Jonathan was in bounds. And he capitalized on his birdie putt. That's a good way to finish your round. He's obviously very happy with himself.
Josh here getting with the unfortunate roll, has a pretty long look for his birdie. Definitely taking his time. At this point, you have other cards there. You have a decent little gallery. Hitting a big putt could feel good in front of the crowd. And he does so. Gets the cheers. Waves to his fans, actual fans, unlike round 1. And you'll have Kenny and Logan cleaning up theirs. And that'll wrap up round 2, pending any disaster here.
Yep, that wraps up round 2. After our competitors finished the round, Kenny ended up at 10 under, Logan at 2 under, Jonathan at 11 under, and Josh at 6.
That's worth to note. That was the total after 36 holes.
Well, I appreciate you for joining us. That will conclude the round 2 coverage of the 2022 Discraft Big Rip Classic presented by Ledgestone. We appreciate you for joining us, and we hope you join us for round 3. You'll be seeing Kenny Brister again, along with Josh Patan, Scott Watson, and Alex Brister. Thanks, guys.